Very good afternoon. Let's get into your markets now. Asian markets took their cue from US markets the day earlier, seeing a climb in values with technology stocks driving up the upward movement. However, confusion remains around the Trump administration's trade tariffs. The Nikkei share average rose by 0.84%. The Hang Seng index gained 0.23%, while the Hang Seng index, while the Shanghai Composite Index rose by 0.15%. Over the United States, U.S. markets advanced as investors gave the thumbs up to a temporary suspension of tariffs on some technology items like computers and microchips, among others. That's despite the fact that Trump has indicated that the tech sector would eventually face newer, higher levies. Shares like Apple rose by 4% and Dell Computers by 2%. Car makers' stocks also saw gains on the back of President Trump's suggestion of a potential relief from the 25% on auto tariffs. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose by 0.78%. The S&P 500 gained 0.8%, while the Nasdaq Composite Index ended the session 0.64% in the black. All right, looking at our local indicators, we see that the all-share index is trading in positive territory. It's up 0.4% at the moment at 89,103 index points. The rand is trading at 18.81 against the US dollar, 21.33 against the euro, and 24.89 vis-a-vis the British pound. Gold is trading at $3,227 an ounce, platinum at $953 an ounce, while Brent crude oil is trading at around $65 a barrel. All right, for more on the markets, let's get into it with Makwe Masilela. He's the Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. Thanks very much for joining us, Makwe, as always. So it seems such a tenuous reason for markets to go up on the back of perhapses, maybes, and probablys. I mean, the investment climate appears to be getting even more uncertain by the day.
Definitely, and as a result, one should expect that we'll continue to see this kind of volatility. As well, we'll continue to see markets trading at a very wide range, and because of all this whole thing about policies. And now lately, you can easily say that yes, this 90 days pause, these things we're pausing when it comes to some tax, the automaker, that he might consider giving us something less. All it does, I think, it does tells us that near term, the probabilities of a recession have lessened, but unfortunately, it continues to give markets and consumers and businesses to be uncomfortable, and uncertainty is not what generally markets like. But as it stands now, I think we'll just celebrate whatever we need to celebrate. And remember, a day without him commenting, I mean, it happens to be a very pretty day for the markets, but unfortunately, he continues to comment every day. But markets are saying, listen, it is what it is for now. Probably the near term probabilities of a recession have lessened, but going forward, chances are we might have that uncertainty when it comes to businesses and consumers.
Yeah. So I see China's President Xi Jinping is not messing around under the circumstances. He's on a tour of a number of Asian countries. Yesterday it was Vietnam. And of course, today he's going to Malaysia and Cambodia. This must be making the U.S. administration quite nervous. But what are your expectations around what he's hoping to achieve in, meeting those countries?
Remember, as much as these trips were planned weeks away, but they have been in planning, but the guy usually doesn't visit these kind of countries, and especially on a bilateral trade kind of a mission. But it is a very important bloc. Remember, Malaysia itself is the chairperson of these 10 nations, which China has been trading with. I mean, you look into the trades that they did with China last year, very decent trades. So all China is doing to say, we are the people who can bring stability into the whole thing. And yes, the U.S. should be uncomfortable with this move coming out of China, but we all know he's trying to strengthen the trade relations with anyone, given what has been happening between them and the U.S. But I hope, and maybe both of them will blink, whether it's China or the U.S., because both economies cannot afford this kind of tariffs.
Yes, indeed. One of the discussions that continuously is being had is the fact that, yes, the United States is the largest economy in the world, and it's an important player, and South Africa should continue to have good relations with it, although that's not the case at the moment. appointment. But of course, we heard that Mcebisi Jonas has been appointed as South Africa's special envoy to the United States. He's going to be making representations directly from the president. It's almost like he's going to be the person of the president, but he's stepping in his place as he tries to, improve our trade situation and other important bilateral issues. How confident are you that this is a good appointment? Will it augur well for relations, do you think?
I think it will, and I think the taste of the pudding is in the eating. And if you look into his political background, if you look into his government policies, formulations, stuff like that, he's got the necessary background. If you look into business, the guy has been into business, yes, as much as the number of years he spent into business are not the same as the one that he did spend as a politician or as a government official. And I think probably this will work well. And the reason I'm saying that even business, South Africa, they're happy with the kind of the appointment, and hopefully they will be able to influence the guys in the US that please, you need to give this guy, an ear, because all he will be doing is just to make sure that the relations gets to be smooth. And as we are talking, we know the Department of Trade and Industry, they're working on a package that needs to be presented to the US. We know that Trump himself is transactional. So when we go and talk to them, we should have something. And this is one of the guys that we are hoping that he will be able to present that. He will be able to open the doors for Minister of Trade and Industry and also for Minister of International Relations.
So the rand has calmed down a fair bit, but I suppose, with the uncertainty, there's always still some scope for further blowouts on the local currency, influenced by both local and international factors. Your thoughts?
So far, I think the fact that we see that GNU parties are talking to each other, we have not seen any news or any sign that there's a fallout. The fact that we know now people are looking and moving away from the US itself, the dollar has not been doing that great itself. Yes, we are happy that we've been seeing bonds rebounding, but generally people are going forward with the sell America kind of a situation. The fact that we've seen commodity prices also being firmer today, and also the news when it comes to our envoy, Mcebisi Jonas, that helped the rand to be steady where it is today.
Makwe, I wanted to ask you about, the luxury sector, because now we've discovered that everything is produced in China at rock bottom prices, and then we just pay for the label. I wanted to ask you about Goldfields stopping production in Ghana because they haven't been given a further license to operate there. Lots to talk about, but not enough time. But thank you so much for your time and insights as always. Makwe Masilela, he's the Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. After a short break, Juliet will have more news for you.